Hello, wallflower. You look dangerously lonely over here. I've invited myself to join you. Your pleasure, I'm sure. Interestingly enough, I don't recognize you. Do you attend these soirees often? Really? Interesting. Because I've been to every single one in Los Angeles, and I would have definitely remembered your face. Perhaps you're not getting invited to as many parties as you think. There are so many of them. Any chance the family has to show off they're tripping over themselves to do so. Tell me, wallflower, what is your name? Oh, so then, you're not actually Giovanni. Don't worry, I won't hold it against you. If anything, it's a blessing. The bloodlines around here are getting a bit stale. Are you wedding in? I don't see a ring on you. Your father. And pray tell, what is Daddy Dearest's name? Oh, the import-export dealer. Yes, I know who he is. Well, we haven't had any personal dealings, per se. But I do make a habit of knowing who or what is holding any monochrome of influence around here. But don't worry, that I won't hold against you either. So then, where have you been? If Daddy Dear is running around Hollywood, where have you been hiding? Studying abroad. Italy, I presume. The main estate in Venice, no doubt. Yes, I can tell. That outfit you're wearing, it's Fiscali. Fiscali's been working almost exclusively as the family's tailor in Venice for the past 10 years now. I'd recognize that design anywhere. Oh yes, of course. I've been to the main estate on a number of occasions now. You may be surprised to learn, wallflower, how rare that actually is in this room. Or not. I dare say you're observant enough to realize there's only a few faces here you'd recognize from the main estate, and even more that you don't. Most family here don't receive the invitation. The inner circle are the only ones who return with any regularity. For the reunion, and for some, additional responsibilities are bestowed, which require frequent travel. All that to say, wallflower, I'm curious what exactly their interest is in you. They don't allow just any member of the family to get comfortable behind those gates. So it must be something. What exactly did you say you were studying over there? All right. Keep your secrets for now. I do have some idea of what it could be. My interest. If I say curiosity for the sake of curiosity, Would you be inclined to believe me? Let me give you some advice, Wallflower. If you're trying to blend in, you're not doing a very good job. Look around you. What do you see? Do you notice, perchance, that no one is here alone? Out of all the guests here, you are the only one sulking away when you're lonesome. Though my presence has provided you a bit of cover for now. You're welcome for that. It matters because for all the family here, rubbing elbows and stabbing backs, someone is not playing the game. And that can only mean and only go one of two ways. The first being that you are so beneath them that no one bothers to take your company. The second, that you are so above them that they've yet to decide the degree of perilous your presence possesses. This may be a pool compared to the pond across the way, but you are still swimming with sharks. They'll smell blood, and they'll come running. I suggest you either prepare yourself for the onslaught, or you take an early leave. Me? Oh, Wallflower. I could smell you from a mile away. I may be the first, but I won't be the only. Though I've bought you some time, certainly. I do hope you'll pay me back. Oh, I haven't dealt in anything as mundane as money in years. I deal in information. There is so much of it to go around. Such secrets delectably debauched and ripe for the picking. Well, the night is still young, and I expect to depart with quite the harvest. As you may have already deduced, there is a particular anxiousness alight in the air tonight. Exasperated by your presence, no doubt. Whispers in the hall say someone is getting invited into the fold tonight. Uncle Bruno's inner sanctum. A visitor of Venetian air in a Pascali number, glaring at them all from a shrouded corner, certainly cements that theory. Every single one of them will be vying for that prize, and they will do anything to get it. Including me. Oh, no, Wallflower. You've read me wrong. My position in the family is not so precarious, regardless of who sits in the sanctum. I fear such things are too simple when accounting for my own situation. I have no need nor desire to be entrenched in the arduous muck any more than I already am. Speaking ill? Why, I wouldn't dare dream of it. I only speak true. There are many truths in this world, Wallflower. And there are just as many games being played. I suggest you take that piercing perception of yours and apply it to the bigger picture. You are uniquely poised to do so, having spent time in the home front. Should you return, I suggest you peer with a more discerning gaze, though do be cautious what curtains you peek behind. Some secrets are shrouded for a good reason, and you should never assume that the abyss is not assessing you in return. All night, wallflower, you've been watching them. I've been watching you. And someone else is watching me. You understand? Good. You should choose quickly on which game you'll be playing, wallflower, before it's chosen for you. Now that is the question, isn't it? What game am I playing? I know what game I'd like to play, if you're so inclined. You and I aren't blood. Not really, if that sort of thing bothers you. Two apples from different trees, though equally forbidden. Delicious. Ulterior motives. Oh, you wound me, wallflower. Have you no confidence in the pleasures of your own company? There are enough ulterior motives in this house, without me boggling down the pile. Despite all assurances that they do what they do for the family, everyone is only interested, in the end, in looking out for themselves. Someone is getting that seat tonight, and there is no one here who would not murder their own kin if they knew it would secure them. Though anyone with an ounce of intellect knows there's really only 3 main contestants. Firstly, there. That's Adam Dunsern. The Dunserns are a more distant branch of the family, though they've managed to tangle up quite nicely. Mostly they reside in Scotland with major holdings throughout the UK, though they've brought their skills to the Americas. Investment bankers. Their whole role is to make money. They keep the cash flowing and the family rich. Now, Adam has supposedly been doing quite well as the investment intermediary. He's been in charge of keeping things smoothly sailing on the Western Front. But as it turns out, he isn't even keeping it floating. Adam is dead broke and sinking fast. Some poor decisions entirely on his own fault. Currently, he's wrapped up in investments to a biotech firm working on the biological development of organs for transplantation. But investments have been less than optimal, and Adam failed to diversify. Money is practically more important than God to this family. Adam isn't only failing to make it, but he's bleeding it. Money that isn't even his. He doesn't have the Giovanni name, and like it or not, that means something here. With his Dunsern lineage already working against him, once that little secret is revealed, there is no chance he's getting the invitation. In fact, he'll likely be excused from California altogether. It's unlikely even the Duncurns will want him back, suffering that kind of embarrassment to the family name. He'll be completely, if politely, exiled. Completely cut off, most likely. Such a shame considering the press just ran an article on him as one of California's most successful investors. Appearances, wallflower. Isn't that what it always comes down to? The second is Christopher Giovanni. Now, Christopher isn't exactly actively overachieving, as most are prone to do. He contributes the baseline expected of any of the family. But he also doesn't misuse or overindulge the family name or fortune. That isn't to say he doesn't have his own interests, but for the most part, Christopher tends to fly under the radar when it comes to personal successes and failures. No, Christopher's real power comes from his position on the family tree. His mother married into the family, but his father has very deep roots. And Christopher is very closely related to many of the more powerful family members in Italy. He could easily settle across the way if he so chose. There are a number who would welcome someone of his breeding into their private folds. Which is why it would look favorably for Uncle Bruno to do so himself. While Christopher doesn't actively pursue it, he does expect to be offered because of his status. He does want it, and he's shown no interest in leaving or relocating from this branch of the family. However, that may be more self-preservation than desire. You see, Christopher is an imposter. He's not really a Giovanni, and he knows it. He's the bastard son of his mother's affair. And with that card taken from him, he really doesn't have much of a hand to play. Now, I don't think Christopher would suffer banishment for his mother's sins, but it would certainly damage his prospects of advancing in the family. Doors that were previously open to him will permanently close. Longevity of his position will certainly wither, and I doubt any would be eager to cement him through matrimony. While he may not be left destitute, I'd say within a generation or two, his own descendants will have no claim to the family name whatsoever. I'm sure I don't need to tell you how much weight the Giovanni name carries, and to what extent the family will go to keep that blood flowing. Most people in this room are the result of incestuous negotiations. Additional breeding stock are added when necessary. Christopher's mother, for example. But for as much as possible, the Giovanni are inclined to keep the family within the family. Because of this, Christopher is considered quite favorably amongst the eligible Giovanni women. He's so far turned down their proposals, but should his identity be uncovered after he wed, Now that would be a scandal. And should it be uncovered after his invitation to the inner entourage? Now that would be ruinous. On his behalf for accepting something so intimately pivotal to a family he has no right to. And on Uncle Bruno's for not keeping a tighter leash on the family and being so oblivious to what's happening right under his nose. Lastly, that one there, that's Mira Giovanni. Now Mira knows how to play the game. She's had to. Her life as a Giovanni has been cruel, but it's made her so uniquely clever. The web she's woven is quite vast, her network impressive and expansive. Her work hasn't been quite as flashy as the rest, but the value of it in regards to family affairs is unquestionable and definitely noticeable by those at the table. Much of the family's businesses rely on policies Mira herself has managed to persuade through congressional allies. She's on a lot of politicians' Christmas lists, and Uncle Bruno certainly knows it. But here's something he doesn't know. Something Mira has been desperately trying to keep under wraps. She's dying. Ironically and tragically, because she only wanted to feel alive. As I mentioned, her life as a Giovanni has been quite cruel. A victim of her elders' perverse proclivities from such a tender age. It's impressive she's risen to this point at all. But one little mistake she's made in her carefully crafted life, and now she's no choice but to be chosen or to suffer her fate. Because Mira, in all her cleverness and her informational lattice, has to do something quite peculiar. Something whispered about, rumored about. But to have such gossips validated on her political grapevines, well, she sees salvation in the selection, and she will do anything to get it. Because if she doesn't, she won't be surviving to the next round. Drugs are not nearly the most taboo vice in the family. You could wander the halls right now and find a number of locked doors with some nasty habits on display right behind them. For example, Harvey Milliner, just there. Why, his twin daughters are currently off powdering each other's noses. It's not uncommon, though I'd be cautious about any indulgences at these parties. You never know the accidents that could happen, the things that might be tampered with. Take care not to end up in such ruinous positions in front of the whole bloodline. I suspect he would never live it down. Though it's all an open secret, Uncle Bruno would certainly disqualify Mira for her consumptions. Such poor judgment, such filthy disease, why it would never do to elevate such a thing to higher ranks. What would the elders back home say about it? Uncle Bruno knows exactly what they would say about it. That he's unfit to lead the American Giovanni. That the western branch of the tree is rotting and ought to be pruned. Trimmed at the very least. There's been a lot of friction between the family on opposite sides of the world, and I suspect such a thing would only exasperate the issue. No doubt it will come to a head at some point. I'd wager Uncle Bruno would much prefer to keep his. And so tonight's selection is very important for a number of reasons. Not just to blow more smoke and further strengthen the bloodlines, but to prove that the Western Giovanni are operating as it should. That they are still a net gain for the family overall, and that Uncle Bruno is still the leader he presents himself to be. The way this side of the family shapes up will undoubtedly affect the way the other, more powerful side deals with them in the coming nights. I'm very eager to see which way the chips will fall on this one. Not just who is chosen, but the domino effect it will have on every other avenue of the family. New alliances made, old ones broken, priorities shifted. Such an addition to the power structure is bound to cause some changes and some chafing. Such vulnerabilities often lead to leaks in the cracks of the family fortresses, usually so diligently guarded. I'm anxious to see what comes oozing out the seams before the dust settles. Oh, it matters very little to me which one it is. I'm only interested in what happens next. Like I said, Wallflower, it's all a game. So why don't you show me how you want to play? I've just given you all the pieces. It's your move now. Choose wisely, Wallflower, and you may yet win a kiss.